Hi students, this is week 32, April 13th to April 20th, and here are the 3 learning objectives. First, I can solve equations using lab gear and algebra. So last week we focused on lab gear and then translating into algebra, and then algebra translating into math steps. We're going to continue doing that for this week. We're also going to show that I can solve level 2 algebra equations. Level 1 algebra equations look like solving algebra number 1, where there's only a few steps. Level 2 involves few steps plus some combining like terms. Then our last objective, I can explain in writing how to solve equations. When we're talking about explaining in writing, we're talking about how to write it in sentences, what each step you're doing along the way. Your assignments for this week are the following: solving algebra number 2, which is uploaded on the spreadsheet, and KBAC 7th grade S8 solving equations involving like terms. So these are level 2 KBAC problems where you're trying to combine like terms first and then solve for X. One thing I want to highlight this week is the idea of how not to submit work versus how to submit work. When you're not submitting work in a nice way, it becomes 2 to 3 times longer to grade your work. And I provided a link also so that you can click and watch the video. Here are some examples of how not to submit work. When this student submitted their work, it was this small. It was so small that we had to click the plus button, the zoom in button, maybe 5 to 10 times just to see it. And then if we wanted to write a comment, we had to zoom out 5 to 10 times, create a comment box, and then put it on. And we had to do that for each page, and that takes a while. It's unnecessary work, and if you just make sure that you take your photo in a better quality, we wouldn't have to worry about all the technical issues. So this is way too small to look at someone's work. Here's another example of how not to submit work. This student submitted the work as a PDF, which is great, but they submitted 11 separate pages. So when we're trying to grade this is what happens. We look over it, we write a comment, we click on the next image, we scroll through it, write a comment, click on the next page, scroll through it, write a comment, click on the next page, and you do that 11 times, and that can get very frustrating. When you want to submit your work, keep it as one PDF document, not 11 separate pages. Here's an example of how to submit work. This student submitted 11 pages of work, all as one PDF. When you do it as one PDF, it becomes a lot easier to grade because the grader has to do is scroll through the document and then write plus comments along the way. And just keep scrolling through versus clicking in and out for each of these documents to write comments on. And versus having to try to read micro font to understand what they're doing. So that's just a short discussion on how not to submit work versus how to submit work. Remember, there's a link that you can watch so that you can see how to use Genius Scan and Notes on iPhone correctly. Last but not least, taking attendance. The question of the week is, if you had a superpower, what would it be and why?